Miniature landscape painting from me at Maxim Grunin Art. Well, there's I start with this thumbnail drawing where I just have a reference of a couple of photographs, a couple of my favorite artists' paintings of landscape with mountains and sky and a river or a road going through it. And I'm using this small wooden board as a canvas, and I already primed it. And I got blue, black, and white colors, and throughout the video I'll just be using those three colors. And I am starting with blocking in major mass of information. So like midtones and lights within the sky got blocked in quickly so that to keep the colors clean, before I started using mixture of black. And some darks are coming in, and I am trying to have a little bit of color or variants of these darker and lighter blues in, so that there's satisfying variety of variations of different lighter, darker, grayer, or more saturated blues. Here I am just going about setting up foreground to be really dark, and then midground to be lighter, and then even further midground to be even lighter, and then the sky to be the background behind all of that, so that there's a sense of depth. Darker and heavier items in the front of the picture make for a more substantial, heavier, closer, darker, visible objects, and then progressively lighter and lighter gradient does the trick of setting up a perspective, depth within the board. The board is just a flat piece of wood, and to have depth in that two-dimensional object, so I'm using the tones lighter and darker to separate these items. And then I placed in the initial layers of everything. There's the river, it's got a little bit of lighter and darker areas. There's still lots to go. So I am now correcting, improving, and adding light to one side of the mountains in the far back, where the sunlight is hitting the surface of the mountain, and it's really bright. Maybe it's snowy, maybe it's reflective. So I started placing my highlights within the mountain, and while I have clear white on my brush, I also want to place in the reflection of sunlight within the water, within the river that cuts between the mountains. Important notes. Everything, it's funny. Important notes. Well, the notes here is I am designing each shape very carefully. Like the contour, the cutout, the shape of the river is varied, wider up close, and then curves and thins out and winds around the mountain, so that there is lively and complex and satisfying quality to the objects. So each object is getting beautifully designed and carefully created into the shape that that seems attractive, beautiful to me. I noticed that the more I practice painting or visual art or drawing, the more complex my shapes become. And so I used to stylize and make really simple and cartoony shapes in the past. And now I'm wanting to get like more information that is found in nature. Like if I go out and look at hills or mountains or trees or grass or anything at all, there is quite a bit of complexity, geometry, like forming of intricate organic shapes that's happening there in nature. And I'm wanting to translate that into the image so that the image has this feel of real nature. And also I'm kind of learning from nature by observing it, seeing, oh, what a wonderful complex shape that object has, and then I'm wanting to represent it in my painting. Here I am working on all the different details within the mountains in the far back. I am wanting to create a transition, smooth and kind of blended transition between white and light blue, and the gradient of that moving from left side of the mountain, you notice, and towards the right. And then there's even some patches of darker blue, maybe rocks under the snow are showing through, maybe cliffs. And so what else am I doing? I am kind of softening and lightening some of the adjacent areas. I noticed I wanted the river to kind of fade into the back, so I'm kind of making a lighter blue edge of the river, and I'm kind of fading with that. And I'm also kind of softening and fading some of the hard, dark edges within the foreground, hills or mountains objects. And the reason to do it, to fade and soften the edges, is also observation from nature. Let's take a look at anything around us, especially a landscape, and look into the far back of your, as you drive or as you walk or as you look out the window, things begin to soften and fade next to each other. The edges are not as hard as like a paper cutout or as an initial brush work. So I'm working my way towards softening and increasing complexity of how objects relate, especially adjacent objects. And here I went to lighten the mountain even more, perhaps even reshape some of the darks that were there. And I noticed that that really kind of separated it from the next range of mountains in front of it. So now I have clearly like a shore, in the front of the picture, then a river, then these dark hills in the mid-ground, and then when the river is curving over there, there's another mid-ground range of mountains, and far back there's this fin-like structure with beautiful extreme highlights and details on them. And from time to time I am holding a picture at different angles in front of the camera to show you that we are kind of capturing with the video. There's a glare, there's, just, and so I'm trying to show you angles where there's no shine, and also show you the angles of the picture the way I'm seeing it. And I also added a little bit of dark gray information within the foreground, and so that it's not just flat black, so that there's some kind of movement there, broken it up a little bit. Now I am adjusting the sky light and dark within the sky beside the mountains, so that there's a definite contrast. You can see the mountains, they're a little darker, and we can see the sky a little lighter. And I think I'm gonna change that towards the end of the picture to reverse that. Here what I'm doing is I'm really carefully placing the marks that represent different rock formations, the shadows within them. Like, we're starting to see a kind of a design, a pattern of darker, mid-dark blue marks within the far back mountains, and I'm also placing some lighter definition in a closer mountain, and then I'm going back into, so I'm pretty much going around the surface of my painting, and I'm placing adjustments into all of the different areas. When the mountains gotten further ahead and they have more of a look or identity, they're showing, oh great, I'm seeing a little bit of a mountain in far back. So then I went back and did a little more work for the river, and then I'm back to highlight some of, or build up and change the shape of some of the highlights within the mountain, image of the mountain. And here I thought that the sky was a little empty, and that it was not balanced visually, that I needed to introduce something into the area of the sky. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna build up a cloud formation, and I'm gonna give it shadow and light and keep working on it. And then I ended up not liking it, and just simplifying and changing the sky, the look of the sky altogether. So making changes and adding or taking away what's been painted, that's it's like a fluid and flexible thing with a paint medium, with acrylic medium. With why, if I had this idea that I'm gonna do the clouds, and then I didn't like it, what's wrong with that? Or why not correct it? Why not continue the search? So I'm showing you that mixing, matching, attempting to create something, and then that not working out and then resolving it in a different way is part of the process. And it doesn't really raise any like negative reaction in me. Like I'm not telling, oh, I am so foolish that I did these clouds and now I am gonna paint over them. That's quite all. It seems quite all right with me that I attempted this. Seemed like a really good idea, and it doesn't even look that bad, but it just didn't work for me. So I went back and started to see what else can I do with this. So you're seeing my moment, like, a bit of struggle that I went through to get to the completion of this little painting. Little paintings like that to me is a really good exercise for an hour or two. This is where I can just mess things up easily and rework them and put new ideas out on canvas. Like I'm carrying an idea. Oh, I want to paint something. Oh my god, I wish I just painted that. Well, I just go and do that, just that. Take a little canvas and get that idea out, and that's it. Now it's not inside me. It's not I've resolved it. And so there you see the final. And thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to your comments. And please don't forget to leave the likes. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, that's awesome. I am excited, inspired to produce lots of work and document it and bring it to you on my YouTube channel. Stay safe. Cheers. Blessings to all. Do 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 do.